This is the 2023 Honda Pilot. This is the 4th generation version, so it's completely redesigned and it's all new. It's bigger, it's more powerful, and in this all-wheel drive Trailsport trim, this is also the most rugged Pilot Honda has ever made. This Trailsport tester comes with the premium paint, and with delivery charge, the MSRP is $50,150. And in this video, I want to give you my personal ratings on 5 categories: the exterior, interior, technology, power, and driving experience, so that you have a better idea before you buy. And at the very end of the video, I'll give you my overall rating of this car. So let's begin with the outside. This 4th generation Pilot is bigger than the previous one in all directions. The front and rear track is wider. The car is slightly taller. The wheelbase has grown by 2.8 inches, and the overall length has gone up, so it's just a hair under 200 inches long. This is now the largest SUV Honda has ever made. The front end looks more rugged. It has a longer hood compared to the previous generation Pilot. The grille is bigger and it's now more upright. And then the headlights have been restyled to have a more updated, slim design. This is now a more attractive front end, and it mimics where the industry has gone with these 3-row SUVs. For example, the new Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer has a similar bold presence up front. Toyota's all-new Grand Highlander and the Hyundai Palisade has the same design cues as well, like the slim headlights, the large and upright grille, and then that longer hood. From the side, this new Honda Pilot has a well-defined horizontal belt line, and the C-pillar looks a lot wider, making this look more like a dedicated 3-row SUV. The wheels on this Trailsport model is also unique to this trim. It has the Trailsport logo cast into the wheel itself. This one is 18 inches in diameter, and it's wrapped in 265mm wide all-terrain tires. You can also get these wheels in bronze color when you opt for the HPD package. That's a post-production package which will also add more rugged looking over fenders and some HPD decals. And at the back, the Pilot has a revised LED taillight design. The Pilot word is now bigger and more stealthy as it blends into the black trim. And on the other models, you'll find the dual exhaust ports, but not on this Trailsport model. Overall, a very attractive set of changes for this new Honda Pilot. This color is called Diffused Sky Blue Pearl, and it's a premium paint charge, and it's unique to this Trailsport model. So I'll give the exterior a rating of 9 out of 10. The design looks more rugged and capable compared to the previous gen, and the increase in dimensions is going to give this much more room inside and make it more appealing in this competitive segment. Inside, the Honda Pilot gets some big changes. The front row has a completely new layout. The dash has a simpler horizontal design that spans the entire width of the car, and you'll find plenty of cubby holes and storage solutions in this car. The passenger side dash has this sizable compartment for various things. The center console has a small storage pocket right next to a couple of USB ports, and right below that you'll find a 15-watt wireless charger. And I like this compartment because it's fairly wide and you could repurpose this for storage for other things. And right above that you'll find the HVAC controls. All of these buttons and dials are spaced out nicely to have a satisfying click to them when you rotate the controls. What's also satisfying to click is that subscribe button, so why don't you go ahead and do that right now. And on this transmission tunnel you'll find the button style transmission for your 10-speed automatic. You also have your drive mode control dial and other essential controls. Beside that you'll find some extra large cup holders that will fit your very large water bottles, and right behind that you have this decently sized armrest and pretty nice storage underneath. And what I like about this transmission tunnel is that it's very flat, and this can temporarily serve as a work surface for a laptop if you need to. The steering wheel design is new. I love the simple 3-spoke design. The buttons are all physical buttons, and the dial and switches feel nice and clicky. Also, this model has a heated steering wheel button, and I like how the button is located on the steering wheel itself. As for the seating, this has unique Trailsport seats, which has the special contrast stitching and the Trailsport logo stitched onto the headrest. This seating surface is synthetic leather, which is more durable and should be more comfortable to sit on when it's extremely hot. These seats are also heated, and if you want to get ventilated seats, you have to go with the Elite trim. Now moving to the second row, there's an extra 2.4 inches of legroom compared to the previous generation Pilot. So now this has a total of 40.8 inches of second row legroom. The front seat back pockets have an extra compartment for your phone, which is pretty thoughtful. And then the center console has your temperature controls and some extra USB ports and a 115 volt outlet. This one is the 7-seater configuration, so you'll find the captain's chairs, and you can get an 8-passenger version on the Touring and Elite trims, which will have a stowable second row middle seat. And since this model doesn't have that middle seat, thus it doesn't have cup holders in the center, you'll have to use the cup holders on the door cards. And speaking of the door cards, this has the built-in sunshade as well. As for the third row, getting in back there is pretty easy. There are 2 buttons on the second row's captain's chairs that will automatically slide the second row forward. The amount of legroom in the third row is still on the tight side for adults at 32.5 inches, but this has grown by 0.6 inches from the previous Pilot. And once you're back there, you'll find some extra comfort with the vents, the USB ports on each side, and also some cup holders. Storage-wise, the Pilot's interior has greatly benefited from the vehicle's increased dimensions. Behind the third row, you'll find 22.4 cubic feet of space. There's a pretty versatile storage solution back there. You could take the false floor and flip it upside down for a more rugged surface, or you can even put the false floor and stow it away. So now you could store extra tall items back there if you need it. And if Honda is listening, one way they could improve on that spot is to take the upholstery material away and turn it into a waterproof tub. This way, if you have muddy belongings, you can just throw it in there. Now, when you fold the third row down, the cargo space goes up to 60.1 cubic feet of space. And when you fold the second row down, you'll get up to 114.3 cubic feet of space. And I love how both the second row and the third rows will fold nice and flat. So I'll give the interior of this Honda Pilot a rating of 8 out of 10. I think this is a big improvement over the previous Pilot design. There's now more room, and I just love all of the interesting storage solutions peppered throughout the car. When it comes to the technology, this Honda Pilot has some pretty good options. It all comes standard with a 7-inch touchscreen display, but this one comes with a 9-inch version. This infotainment is running on Honda's new system, so this works pretty well. The app and menu layout is good with large, high contrast buttons. There's user-defined shortcuts, and since this is the larger, more premium screen, it also comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. The 7-inch screen version only comes with a wired version. And what I also like about the screen is what is around it. There's a traditional volume knob. There's dedicated home, back, and seat buttons, which makes navigating much easier. And there's also this convenient ledge in front of the screen so you can rest your fingers while making a selection. This Trailsport model also comes with a 360-degree camera view, and those views will show up nicely on the screen. This is very helpful for when you're parking or when you're on an off-road trail, and you could pull up this view by pressing on the camera button on this right-hand stalk. As for the instrument cluster, this model has the standard 7-inch TFT display, so the center and the left-hand side of the display is digital. The Elite model of the Pilot will have a larger and nicer 10.2-inch instrument cluster, but this one still looks pretty modern, and you can customize the left-hand gauge with different pieces of information. And like I mentioned before, there is a wireless charger in this car, and this is a 15-watt version, so it's going to charge your devices faster compared to older wireless chargers. Now, if you want to charge traditionally, there are 6 USB ports in this car. They're all USB Type A's with the exception of this USB-C up front. As for safety, this comes with Honda sensing technology, so it has collision mitigation, road departure warning, adaptive cruise control, and lane keeping assist. And for the sport models and up, this will also have automatic high beams, blind spot warning, cross traffic, and parking sensors built in. So for the technology, the Pilot gets a 9 out of 10. There's a bunch of great safety and convenience features in here. Now let's talk about the power. This 4th generation Pilot comes with an all-new 3.5 liter V6. This is a new aluminum block with dual overhead cams with a multi-stage direct injection. This one is making slightly more power at 285 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. And that engine is attached to a 10-speed automatic transmission. So 0 to 60 will be somewhere in the 6.5 to 7 second range. So that's pretty decent performance for this size car. This model also comes with all-wheel drive, so this is going to have the second generation version of the IVT M4. That's basically their torque vectoring all-wheel drive system. So this car can send up to 70% of the total torque distribution to the rear axle, and then the rear axle can send up to 100% of that total torque to one side of the car. What that means is that this car is going to have better grip depending on the road surface, and you could change the behavior of this all-wheel drive system by changing the drive mode using this dial. And for all-wheel drive models such as this one, you can tow up to 5,000 pounds, so that should be good for most campers or small boats. Mileage-wise, you can expect similar performance as before. This one gets 18 city, 23 highway, and 20 miles per gallon combined. And you can also use regular gas in this thing, which is always good. So for power, I'll give this a rating of 7 out of 10 because this is just very average performance for this size car. It's not spectacular, it's not bad either. Now when it comes to the driving experience, the Honda Pilot is a good cruiser. The ride quality is pretty comfortable for long drives. This is a new unibody structure, so Honda has made some good engineering changes to the structure, so it's now the stiffest Pilot they've ever made. The stiffer the structure, the better the driving dynamics. And for this Pilot, the suspension has actually been tuned for off-road use, but I think it's still great for normal on-road situations. Handling feels very good for a big 3-row SUV. The chassis feels solid, and on back roads like this is where you feel the stiffer chassis. Sure, there's still a lot of weight swaying back and forth, but the movement is predictable, and the sway all feels contained within the suspension rather than the flexing of the chassis. As for the steering, it feels nice in this Pilot. It feels direct and responsive, and the braking performance of this car has also improved thanks to the bigger front rotors. Now, if you want to do more outdoor activities, then this Trailsport is the model that you want to get because this has a 1-inch taller ground clearance. It also uses that Trailsport unique tune suspension. There's special all-terrain tires, and this has steel skid plates underneath protecting some of the more critical parts. Now, if you want to do more dedicated off-roading, you might be better off going with a car with a 4-wheel drive system and a 2-speed transfer case, and maybe a locking rear diff as well. So something like a Toyota Tacoma or a Toyota 4Runner or the Jeep Wrangler. This Honda Pilot Trailsport has been designed to tackle moderate level off-road trails. So when you put this Pilot into trail mode, this thing will do some brake vectoring and torque split logic so that you can apply more traction to the wheels with more grip, so you can get yourself out of a jam. Now, while this system won't be as good as those dedicated off-roaders, this is better than the previous generation Pilot. And if you do get stuck, there's at least some recovery points underneath on those steel components. So for the driving experience, I'll give this a rating of 8 out of 10 because this is a very good car for your commutes. It handles well, and if you need it, it can off-road too. Finally, let's put a bow on this review. All things considered, I'll give this Honda Pilot in this Trailsport trim a rating of 8.2 out of 10. This is a sharp looking vehicle. It's even bigger than the previous Pilot and looks more rugged and capable. It has a lot of thoughtful interior design features and storage solutions, and there's also great tech and safety features. And when it comes to the ride and handling, it's pretty good for a big 3-row SUV. And when you need to do some light to medium duty off-roading, this can do that as well. So let me know your thoughts about this Honda Pilot in the comments below. If you've learned something from this video, please consider hitting that like, subscribe, and that notification bell so that you could be notified anytime I make a new video. Let's wrap it up right there. My name's Hanson. This has been the 2023 Honda Pilot all-wheel drive Trailsport, and I'll see you in the next one.